Today, our gospel lesson takes us continually through the Gospel of Mark. We are going Sunday by Sunday, moving through this very dynamic gospel where a lot happens really quickly. And last week, we heard an amazing set of stories where Jesus goes about performing miraculous healings. It's a fantastic set of stories, but we also heard last week that although those healings are amazing, certainly miraculous, that perhaps even the bigger miracle is that Jesus did those healings in places where a good Jewish rabbi was not supposed to be. And even more than that, as Jesus was going about in those places where a good Jewish rabbi was not supposed to be, there were people who really had no tether, no anchor to the Jewish tradition to understand what Jesus was doing and who he was, and yet they began to believe that Jesus was this incredible divine presence on earth. That kind of miracle, where people have no context, and yet they believe, that may have been even the best part of the story last week. Now, we see that Jesus, between last week and this week, has gone off and done a whole lot of other things, and those miracles have continued, and he's continued to go about in places that he's not supposed to be. And today, we see that Jesus takes a moment and pulls his disciples aside and asks them an important question. Jesus asks them, who do the people say that I am? And they kind of bump around a little bit, but Peter has a really great moment. Peter has this moment of insight where he says, "You are the Messiah." And I can only imagine that Jesus got real excited, like, yes, they have figured it out. This is great. And then a moment later, Peter then gets it wrong. That's sort of the trouble with faith, is that we can have such wonderful moments of insight where we click, the light bulb goes off, we know the thing is true, and then we turn right around, sometimes in the same moment, and we do something that we know we're not supposed to do. We behave in a way that we know we're not supposed to behave. We get into our old patterns of habits and behaviors, and then, we kind of lose our way once more. This question, who do you say that I am, that Jesus asks his disciples, is the same question that perhaps we can be posed. Who do we say that Jesus is? Who we say Jesus is, who you say Jesus is incredibly important, because that's part of the starting place of our faith. That's really the root, and it gets us on the path. And when we're on a good path, then we're able to buttress ourselves from whatever the world can throw at us. But that kind of commitment, that kind of walking of the path that Jesus sets in front of us, that's not a guarantee for all of us. And sometimes we can find that even with our best intentions, we don't quite create the environment around us that Jesus may hope us to create. Recently, I heard a story from a friend of mine over the summer who went to a Moroccan wedding. His wife is Moroccan, and although he is, a white guy from America, he is familiar with a lot of the traditions of the Moroccan people, but he still doesn't get over to Morocco to do a lot of the big family events as much as he would like. And yet this summer, he went to a big wedding ceremony. Now, you may know this, but Moroccans are kind of like many cultures all around the world, where weddings are not just one nice evening with some good drinks in a nice bar. Weddings in Morocco are days and days long, and it's one party after another they kind of bleed together, and you might remember you slept, but maybe not. And so the Moroccan wedding just kind of went on, and the moment that was really the big celebration, that climax of the whole experience, after the bride and groom had actually had the moment where now they are married, was this big festival party. And people were grabbing instruments, and they were playing along, and they were singing, and they were dancing. And it goes so late that I think dinner was served like at 2 a.m., and the whole thing didn't even finish until sunrise. I mean, Episcopalians know how to throw a party, but I'm thinking the Moroccans might have us beat. So there he is at this big party, and he doesn't really know all the stuff that is going on at the party. I mean, everybody knows all the songs, people are grabbing the instruments, they're playing along, and they are dancing, and people are just hopping up and dancing extemporaneously. And there was a moment where he thought, I kind of want to do that. And so he sort of, girded his loins, and he decided he was going to dance. Now, I say he decided he was going to dance because My friend is not a dancer, and he would admit that. And to even say he has rhythm is probably a bit too generous. And so he knew all of this, but getting up, he wanted to dance. And the most remarkable thing happened. He gets up, and the crowd sees that he is getting up to dance. And they cheer. And then they cheer louder. And they cheer as loud as they had cheered for anyone, because there he is, this really nice white guy who has no idea what this music is about, and yet he felt the energy of the place and wanted to participate. And everyone there who had grown up in this culture, knew all the songs, knew all the rhythms, knew all the moves, knew all the instruments, knew that he was stepping out of his comfort zone and wanted to join in, and they loved it. And so there he went, off doing only what I can imagine he would do, to the cheers of the crowd and the celebration of this family surrounding him on every side. Now, I tell you that story, and I love that story, because in a very real sense, that's what we're supposed to be doing every Sunday. That's the kind of thing that we do here when we celebrate. Worship, what we are doing right now, is really a celebration. We come together to worship and give thanks to God, yes. We come together to celebrate life and the whole circle of life, yes. We come together to celebrate each other and what perhaps we have done and what we plan to do next week, yes. But there are people who show up here to this celebration who may not know all of our moves, who may not know all of our songs, who may not know all the genuinely weird stuff that we do. Can you just imagine those of you who have known all of this for a long time, maybe years, maybe decades, maybe your entire life? If you were to watch what we do in our celebratory services, it is strange stuff. Now, we love it. I know we do. But there are some people who are here right now, today. And there are people who come every single week who do not know all the weird stuff. But they have mustered the courage to come through these doors because they are seeking after God. There are people here right now, I see some of you, who have come here, and you probably don't know all the stuff, but you have the sense that God is present here. And for those of us who've been around for a while, there is nothing better that we could do than to cheer for the people who have come here looking to connect more deeply to God. And even though they may not know when to sit and stand and kneel and sing all the songs, whatever, that doesn't matter at all. And it certainly does not matter to Jesus. That people are here looking for some depth of spiritual reality, looking to change their life, looking to belong, that is worth a real celebration. That gets me back to the gospel. Why do you laugh? Did you not think I could get back to the gospel? I have a point. In today's gospel, we have that moment of brilliance where Peter gets it and then turns right around, because right after Jesus says, "Who do you say that I am?" and he says, "You are the Messiah," Jesus then explains what he intends to do. Jesus explains the behavior, the task ahead of him, what he will submit himself to, and Peter just cannot stand it. Yes, Peter just said he was the Messiah, but when Jesus says bad stuff's going to happen, Peter says, "Oh, no, it's not. We will never let this happen to you. We will stand in your way." And what does Jesus say to Peter moments after he calls him the Messiah? "Get behind me, Satan." Because what Peter is doing is putting the world's expectations above Jesus's. Peter had just figured it out. And yet that moment of insight did not prevent Peter from turning right back around and setting his priorities the way the world sets their priorities. That's our biggest struggle. Because we can come here and we can sing a good song and we can say the prayers and we can genuinely believe. And then when we walk out those doors, what has changed? Do we simply behave the same way we did? Do we believe the same things we believe? Do we have the same kinds of relationships and never challenge ourselves to get better? You see, what we have here is a group of people who all, in some measure, wish to be changed by Christ. But that change is hard. It's hard. And that change has to impact what we do out there, not just what we do in here. The good news here, though, just like it was for Peter, is just like it is for us. We're not alone. Look at this room. We are not alone. We have each other, and we understand that we all wish to change who we are and what we do and how we believe and how we behave. And we all wish to make that change together. So wherever you are on your journey, whether you have been here your whole life or whether today is your very first day in this church, know that you belong to this community. And that in belonging, in being a beloved child of God, you are now with us, trying to get better, day by day, week by week. Challenging assumptions, challenging beliefs, challenging what the world wishes you to be and do because it's not good enough. Jesus has laid out a path of discipleship, and we are called to walk that path, and we will never get it fully right. But together, we can get a little closer every single day. Last week, we had the most wonderful service in here. And although the energy was great the whole time, there was something about the final hymn that just sent me over the edge. It was Joyful, Joyful, which is the final hymn of my funeral plan, but that doesn't, that's personal. Everyone loved it, and everyone sang, and everyone felt great, and it is the kind of electricity, it's the kind of celebration, it's the party that we are meant to have every Sunday. And so look around. Because in a few minutes, you will have the chance to greet the people who are sitting near you. Some of them you will know, and some of them you will not know. Regardless of whether you know or do not know them, talk to them, chat with them, welcome them, encourage them. Because every person here is looking to make sure they are not alone in the journey that we share. Amen.